Today's episode is going to be a little bit different. I had the opportunity to do a coaching session for Mamas & Co. in their membership forum, and I talked all about project management. So I thought it would be fun to kind of share what I had spoke about. So let's dive in. You are listening to That Big CEO Energy, where we talk all things business, life, marriage, and push you to a new edge of discovering what that big CEO energy means for you. Listen, I understand that we have barriers that we carry from when we were once employees, and those have impacted us as we continue to build our businesses. I'm here to walk alongside you and give you encouragement through interviews with friends and other women in business who have broken down those barriers and paved their own way. Tune in with me as we uncover some of the unconscious things that we do that keep us from building that big CEO energy we've always dreamed about. Let's dive in. Today, we are going to be chatting all about project management. And I know for some of you, you're already like, I don't want to. It is a sticky subject. But I'm honestly super thrilled to be bringing you this session because it is incredibly near and dear to my heart. I'm super passionate about it. And I have seen, right, firsthand, how mastering project management can really transform your business. So grab your notepads, get ready because we're gonna dive deep. And I do have some notes to kind of hold me accountable because I could sit and chat with you all day. So, we don't need to be doing all that. Who here thinks that they don't need a project management system because maybe they're a solopreneur or maybe your business isn't quite started yet? Or if you hear the words project management and you're already confused. This is not what I did in corporate. I have no idea why this adheres to me, right? But today we're going to dive a little bit deeper on why project management serves as the cornerstone of your business and why it is important for you to have a project management system in place. And we're not talking about the tool that you use. We will talk a little bit about that. But the system that you use as an entrepreneur or as somebody that has a small team to get your project from idea and all the way until conception, right? But picture perfect project management is not a thing. So it is an ebb and flow, but it is a sturdy framework, upon which your business kind of functions. And it involves a lot of things like meticulous planning, coordination, and execution. Listen, I will be the first one to say that I am so excited about starting a new project or starting a new thing in my business that all of a sudden I get halfway through and I'm like, oh, I've missed step 0 to 10. Whoopsie. And now you gotta work backwards. It happens to the best of us, but I'm here to kind of give us a little bit of a framework that you can start to use even as a solopreneur, even if you don't have a team, to hold you accountable, first of all, and make sure that you're not skipping 101 steps and then having to do extra work by the time something is launching, right? So at its core, project management really empowers you to translate your vision that you have into actionable steps and really ensures that every facet of your business operates seamlessly. And when we do that, there are a few things that we need to have. We need to have clear objectives. We need to have clear goals. And both of those things serve as a guiding light in your project and in your business. So all of that to say, when you have sort of a project management process in place, it is the direction, right? The purpose, the clarity, and it serves as the foundation of everything that you need to have to be able to move forward. When you have clear objectives and clear goals as the guiding light in your project or business. You really want to make sure that they are super well defined. SOPs are a thing. Say it with me. I need an SOP, even if I am the only one in my business. And I'm saying this with love because lots of times I show up in businesses and it's one person and it's really, really great, but there's no SOPs. And so training is a nightmare. And when you can put down, even if it's broken, right? Even if you know that you do things a little bit differently than everybody else, write it down. Because heaven forbid, if something were to happen to you, you need to be able to hand over your things and at least have somebody be able to operate at a minimal capacity until you're able to come back, right? That is a trap that we fall into, a standard operating procedure. So a fundamental way of doing something. So an example would be if I have a task management system and when I go to put in a task, right? If I'm building a project, I need to be able to put down on paper what it is that I'm doing, right? So you go into the project management system, you open up a task. This is the information that needs to be put in the task. This is the information that I'm looking for in the task. And then a sequence of events, right? That's basically what an SOP is a sequence of events that in the instance that you're training someone or somebody needs to know how to use the tool that you're using, that they can do that seamlessly and you're not spending a rat race trying to help them out. But have you ever, so coming back to project management, have you ever started a project, right? And found yourself sort of in the middle of it, like I just mentioned, and realized that you had 100 million steps that you didn't do. And then you realize that this is the steps that you should have been doing in prep for the project. I hear you, right? It happens to the best of us. But when we are setting goals and intentions in the very beginning of our project, and when we figure out what effective resources we need to be able to fuel this project, whether it's time, finances, human capital, project management really equips you with the tools to be able to optimize the resources and extracting the maximum value from this project. So when you spend the time initially to set all of this up, when you kind of peel back the onion layers, right? And you say, okay, this is my end goal. Let's walk it back a little bit. Let's get real strategic about what it is that we need. And sometimes you don't know, and that's okay. But jumping in kind of head first and just kind of emails and, I think I need this tool, that's not really a good process for you to be able to execute and also not have the stress that comes with being super unorganized. So we just want to make sure that there is no opportunity that is wasted, right? And that every effort really contributes to the focus of getting your project in liftoff. So for the sake of our conversation today, what I want to kind of focus on is a lot of us are launching things, right? A lot of us maybe have systems and processes that are in place, but when you go to do the project, when you go to kind of flesh it out to your team, you might have a little bit of, I need to be doing this. And we think that we need to be doing this because it's easier, because it's faster. But the reality of the situation is that we're not handing it off because we don't know what we're handing off. We don't know what we have. We don't know what we need. And we haven't really spent the time to understand that before we have passed it off to a VA or passed it off to a project manager, right? So getting super, super clear in the very beginning saves you from having to do all of the work. Now, I understand if you're a solopreneur, you're doing all the stuff and things, but this is also for you because then we're able to truncate it into bite-sized pieces that you're able to do daily, and you don't feel like you're doing it all at one time and you don't have the overwhelm, right? So even the most, I'm just going to say this, even the most meticulously crafted plans, right? They can falter, but it's because they don't have clear and open communication. And so again, you're going to be looking at me sideways if you're a solopreneur because you're like, I don't have a team. I know you don't have a team, but communicating with yourself or even with the small team that you have on what the lifeblood of the project management is, right? Fostering collaboration, aligning and being in synergy among your team members and with yourself on what the clear direction is. It's a conduit, right? For which ideas flow and the process flows, and we're able to kind of have this clear understanding of what is happening. So a few things that I want to chat about implementing project management effectively is it requires a systematic approach. And I know that when we left corporate, we didn't think that we were going to be project managers, right? Raise your hand, 10 out of 10. I did not anticipate that I was going to be the finance person, that I was going to be the project manager, that I was going to be the CEO. I knew a little while, but I was thinking, gosh dang, this is harder than it needs to be because you're still, even if you have a small team, you're still managing people, right? You're still managing yourself. You're still managing the folks that are on your team. I have a VA and a small, abundance of people that I manage over here at Mamas & Co. And so really implementing project management effectively in your business requires clarity, it requires organization, and it requires communication, right? Say it with me. Clarity, organization, that's the big one, and communication. And when we can get behind those every step of the way, that's when the real magic happens. And when things in your projects move effectively and purposefully and on time, right? How many times have we gotten to the end of sort of when we're launching something and we're like, oop, forgot that. Oop, forgot that. And it's because we haven't really taken the time in the beginning. And I know you feel like I'm beating a dead horse, but I'm telling you that when you take time in the small steps, the big steps become really easy. So first, we're going to define our project scope and deliverables. That's number one. We're going to define what it is that we're trying to accomplish. And this is something that we practice in Mamas & Co., even with the small team that we have. So don't feel like you need to be having a big team because you don't. I do it with myself. And just because I have a VA, I often, hand to God here, I often do it with myself because I need to understand what it is I'm missing. Because if you're working with a VA, those are wonderful, wonderful humans. They also require that you kind of have your ish together when you're passing things off to them. So this is a good time in the first step in implementing project management is to define what the scope and the deliverables of your project is going to be, whether that's an email sequence, whether that is a landing page, a thank you page, an opt-in page, all the things, right? But this involves getting crystal clear on what you want to achieve in this liftoff and what success looks like to you. And take the time, right, to identify what the specific objectives are, what the outcomes and the key deliverables are that will constitute what project success looks like. And so this clarity then serves as a foundation, right, upon which you will then continue to build. So then it creates a detailed project plan, right? And when you have a detailed project scope and you have deliverables that are clearly defined, now it's time to create kind of what the plan is for every aspect of the project, right? From start to finish, providing a roadmap, and guides your team through each phase of the process. At the end of the day, it is all about what are the things that you need from your idea that is in your head to putting it out into the world, right? What does success look like for you? And what are the things that you need to do in the middle? Google is a wonderful resource. Also reach out to me after. And I'm happy to kind of walk you through that. But when we're talking about a project plan, here's what it includes, right? It includes specific tasks, specific deadlines, specific milestones, and what are the dependencies to make sure that everyone is on the same page and understands their role in achieving launch, right? In achieving the success. So we're assigning responsibilities. And if it's yourself, you are working with yourself on a timeline, right? I'm listing off June 1st, right? And just as a side note, this is a common mistake that we often make. We often think that we can launch way sooner than what reality tells us, right? And what I would say to you then is when you are sitting in November and December of your business and you're crafting what this next year looks like, get yourself one of those big calendars that has every month on there and write it down. Put pen to paper and really understand what it is that you're doing, when you're going to do it, who's going to be involved, right? So even if we're not talking about a specific project, we can pull it out at a 500-foot view and use that as a guide for your yearly vision for your business. What I will do is I will say, okay, I'm going to launch whatever day that is the first, let's say. Okay. So if I have June 1st in mind, I need to back that up a little bit. And I need to say, today is February. February to June is 4 months. Okay. So every beginning of the month, I need to be working on something. So I can essentially take what I'm doing, split it into 4 parts and say, okay, so if I'm launching, let's say a course, right? We'll take a course, for example. If I'm launching a course, I'm doing it by myself because a lot of people in this community are solopreneurs or they have a VA. I'm taking that and I'm saying, okay, so I have a task management system in place. Check. I need a landing page. I need an opt-in page. I need a checkout page, right? I need my streaming service all together. I need to build my content because I haven't quite done that yet. Maybe in the middle of that, I'm throwing in a free master class that's going to be, in April, whatever that looks like. So we're taking all of that information and we're going to put it down on paper. And we're going to say, okay, so in order for this to be successful, I need to make sure that this is scheduled, this is scheduled, this is scheduled, this is scheduled. Okay. And for my masterclass, I need X, Y, and Z. So you're going to take all of those things and you're going to put it in your calendar. And something that I used to do that I still kind of do is every Friday, I have a CEO day where I am actively working on something in my business. And so if you are a service provider, even if you are someone that is a product-based business, having one day where you can sit down and you can plan and you can get honest with yourself and honest with your business, that is bar none the most important thing that you can do for yourself and your business. And the reason for that is it helps you understand, what have I done? What is still left to do? And what can I do today? If you're not checking in with yourself, if you're having no meetings and you don't have any sort of task management system that is going to keep you on track, what's going to happen from day one when you have this idea to now it's June 1st and we have to execute, right? And to be honest, some of us don't have project managers on our team to be able to make sure that it gets done. So you're it. You are the person. And that's okay. but you have to remain organized. And it is really, really hard if you are a visionary person or if you are a manifester. That is really, really hard for you to do, is to put down deadlines and to make sure that things are getting done. So I want to hold space for you and I want to be soft on that. But I also want you to understand that you have to give yourself a deadline. You have to, in everything. In today's digital age, really project management tools and software, they have their spaces, and there are tons of free resources. Like I use Asana. That is free. It is great. It works lovely, but they are an indispensable asset for your business. And honest moment, right? I still have a list. I do. But the problem is that it's really easy to write it this day and then come to this day and write it because I didn't feel like doing it this day, right? It's really easy to do that. But I feel like there is something that changes the game when you are working in a task management system, when you put a deadline on something. Like it's the click for me, y'all. It is the click. So one of the things is that these tools offer, and I get it. If you are still building your business and you don't necessarily have a launch in mind, it is really, really good to still use a project task management system to make sure that you are getting the little things done in your business and set up that you need to be done. Maybe it's an LLC, right? Maybe it is taxes. Maybe it is figuring out shipping, all of the things, contacting suppliers, whatever that is. Give yourself a deadline. Give yourself a deadline, right? And I can assure you that this project management system that you put in place will increase the timeline for you. So be honest and realistic about a timeline also. Because a lot of times what we do is we think that it can be done overnight. And the reality is that it can't. And the reason is because maybe we're working with a team that also has different clients, or maybe we think that we have more time in the day than we actually do. Let's be honest about it, right? So when we have all of our objectives in place, when we have all of our tasks, we know exactly what we're doing, there's monitoring that needs to come into play, right? And sometimes it's taking corrective action or understanding that timeline needs to be adjusted because something just seems to be taking a little bit longer, or maybe you didn't like the way that came out. And so now you have to go back and rework it. Give yourself that grace and give yourself that time. But don't forget the progress along the way, right? Again, checking in with yourself on a Friday or checking in with your team on a Friday of, okay, where are we? What are the things that still need to be done? What do you need from me, right? Because sometimes they're waiting on you for copy or other deliverables that are important. But here is also the time to get real with yourself and get real with your team to identify any necessary issues or bottlenecks. Sometimes, especially when you're working with Zapier, not even going to lie, sometimes it takes a little bit to get things set up. So you just want to make sure that you're keeping the finger on your pulse along the way, and also regularly making sure that you're taking proactive steps throughout the project plan as necessary. So by staying vigilant and making sure that you are staying proactive, it definitely ensures that your timeline is going to have a lift off. I'm going to drop in the comments after we get done here a little 3-day challenge that I have put together. It's totally free, to where if you are just kind of feeling like you have a lot of things that are circulating out here, you can dial them in and understand maybe what tools that you need, what project management system is going to be effective for you. I know I've gotten a ton of questions on just like things that I use. And what I would say is less is more. If you don't have it in the budget to do Kajabi or some other robust system, don't Don't pressure yourself to do that. There are a lot of free things that you can do to be able to connect the dots and make sure that, things are still moving smoothly. But what I would say is don't get hung up on the fact that everybody else has a big production, right? Has kind of the tools, because what I'll share with you is they also started with free tools. They also started from a place of having to do a project by themselves, having to put it on their calendar and check in with themselves, right? So you're not late to the party. You are just exactly where you need to be. And I think sometimes we get hung up on the fact that when we're starting our business, we really are in a building phase. And so if we are looking to social media as a guide, if we are looking to other people as a guide, we also have to come with the frame of mind that they are giving me this information because they've already done this walk that I've done. And I'm allowed to give myself grace through this process and not think that I need to be on step 14 because I'm only on step 1, right? It's the learning and the building. So as you're working through, again, not to beat a dead horse, but as you're working through whatever it is, if you're building your business from scratch, if you are working on a specific project, give yourself a little bit of time, right? But also give yourself deadlines in that container and say, okay, I need to work on shipping today. And from Tuesday until Friday, I'm going to gather all the information. And then Friday, when I have the meeting with myself or my small team, whoever that is, when I have that meeting, we're going to make a decision. Okay, we're going to make a decision and we're going to make sure that we are checking that off and we're moving on, right? Giving yourself deadlines throughout whatever the process is, building your business, launching something, it only makes sure that gets lifted off and you feel really, really good about it. I think we missed the mark on also not celebrating kind of the process that we took to get there, right? We get to the launch and now we're launching and we're doing the thing. And then we get done after and we're like, oh, launch. And then we don't really stop and think, man, that was a lot. That also requires us to kind of walk back through that project with our team or with myself and help understand what worked really well, what could be improved on, and what are we missing? What is the thing that when I launched, whatever that is, what was I missing? Right? Because I think sometimes when we don't walk back through what we've already done, we get in this frame of mind where it's just now we're launching the same way every time. And now we're doing the same thing every time. And we're still having the headache. We're still having the burnout, right? It becomes this cycle. It becomes this process. And so in order to get us out of this cycle of just doing the same thing every time, we have got to put on the calendar specifically what went right, what can be improved, and what was I missing, right? Was I missing that I was doing way too many things that I should have been doing and I could have passed them off to someone else? And I'm saying this with love, and I'm also talking to myself about it because it's really, really easy to look at in a project of, yes, I'm going to do all the copy. And yes, I'm going to do all the building of the landing page. And yes, I'm going to do all the imagery because I like what I like and nobody else can do it different. I'm here to hug you and give you loving arms and say, let somebody else with their zone of genius help you, right? Sometimes we have to spend money to make money. Sometimes we do. And there are really, really good people that do it really, really well. And you can start with something that maybe isn't the ending vision that you had hoped, but it works for now, right? I think done is better than perfect. Yeah. And so when we are operating in that done is better than perfect, we also have to come back to the project management plan and say, okay, what are the things that we can sacrifice in this. Maybe it is we're not doing a big, long, fancy sales page and we're doing something super simple, right? Because of the sake of time or whatever it is. All of these things, again, you have to factor in, and you have to be able to, as a CEO of your business and your life, be able to pull back at a 500-foot view and say, what does success look like? And then let's funnel it down and get a layer deeper every time to help us understand the things that we need to do to be able to give us the success that we're desiring. I mean, when you're a solopreneur, it's really, really easy that if you don't have a team to pass things off to, or you don't have, someone checking in and saying, hey, hi, how's it going? It's really easy to just say, I'm going to do it tomorrow. But the reality of the situation is the things that you are not doing today, the things that you are not putting in place, the project management system that you're not putting in place, it's leaving money on the table. So if we can change our frame of mind and say, okay, today is about making money. Time is money, right? But you have to spend the time now so that you can make money effectively. So I'm going to leave also some podcast episodes. I have a few episodes that you can go back and just kind of listen to. But a few things I want you to remember, right? Mastering project management is the key to unlocking your business success, right? So if you can master how to effectively manage your project and manage your business, right? Even in the startup phase, that's where the success is built. I will die on that hill. I will. Because in that, right, in the center of all of that, you're setting clear objections. You are creating deadlines for yourself. It is going to feel like sometimes that you're not making progress. It is. But I'm here to tell you that when you make that little check mark or you clear that little thing, that is just one more step into the next phase. That is just one more thing that you got checked off the list that you don't have to move to tomorrow. And that is progress. That is effective progress. But you got to be honest with yourself, right? You cannot do everything in one day. You can't launch a course in 1 week. That is giving yourself a recipe for disaster. So by setting those clear objectives and creating those deadlines, if you ever find yourself struggling, I want you to remember that you're not alone. You're not. Everybody, when we show up on social media and we have people that are launching after launching after launch after launch, and you're like, how in the world? It is because they have taken all those years and built their team, built their project management system on the back end to make sure that things are just firing on all cylinders. And so when you see that, that's what I want you to remember. And there's a whole community, right? But they are out there ready and willing to support you. So I want you to keep pushing. I want you to keep striving for greatness. And above else, I want you to keep mastering your projects. If you have any questions, let me know. Happy to answer them. Send me a message if you're struggling, and I'm happy to just be a good resource for you. That is something that, like I said in the beginning, it is near and dear to my heart to effectively have a project management system that works, and it works for you. Okay. That's the other part. You have to find something that works for you, because sometimes what you find out there, you're serving someone else's business. You're not serving your own. So give yourself grace, give yourself a little bit of time, keep killing it. And I love you all, and we'll talk to you soon. Thanks for tuning into the show today. If you heard something that helped you, I would love it if you would leave a review and share it with your friends. This helps more people just like you become inspired to move the needle of their big CEO energy into a positive direction. If you would like to learn more about how I can help you streamline and position your business for growth,
or lead your business as a CEO, feel free to jump into the show notes with all of the links to find me. And don't forget to head over to Instagram so we can be pals.